Hold on a second while I get everything going here. Okay, looks like we're good. Hello and welcome. Happy Monday. Welcome to this week's self-care challenge. So I'm going to try to make this really quick. So this week I'm talking about using food to support and heal your body. And in order to do that, we have to eat real food. So it sounds really simple, right? But it's not as simple as it sounds. Well, it's simple, but it's not as easy to do, okay? Because what's real and what's being kind of like pushed at us in the food store is a whole different story. So I'm going to give you a few ways to like kind of approach this. I'm going to wait just a second though to see if anyone pops on here and try to straighten out. I'm trying to go live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. And okay, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to get into it because you guys could always watch the replay and stuff. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you, when you're going to eat or drink anything, so we're going to make this challenge for this week, but I'm going to be working on this for the whole month with you guys, covering different subjects each week. So food and nutrition will be the object for the month, but different topics every week. And this week I'm just talking about very simply eating real food to support and heal your body, okay? And so this week, what I want you to do is every time you're going to eat something or drink something, I want you to ask yourself the question. So be mindful and ask yourself the question, does this food support my body or does it take something away? Does it support disease? And so as a very obvious example, you could say like diet soda or any type of soda, for instance. Does this support my body or does it take away? Does it support disease? Okay. And there's nothing in soda or diet soda that supports the body. Absolutely nothing. So that's like a really easy one. And so some people will argue well, an apple has the same amount of calories as a can of soda. I don't know if that's true. I'm just kind of making that up. But some people might argue that it's calories in, calories out. But this isn't true because when you eat an apple, you're eating antioxidants, you're eating fiber, you're eating all these different things. When you're drinking soda, it's basically just sugar, carbonated water, and caffeine, right? And so what the sugar and the caffeine are doing is everything's, well, your blood sugar is going to spike and then it's going to crash, okay? And the caffeine, same kind of thing. So you're going to get like this big jolt and it's going to make you feel good, but at the same time, you're going to crash really hard. Whereas the apple, yes, you have the sugar in the apple, but the fiber keeps the blood sugar more level. So instead of like a big spike and then a big crash, with the apple, you're kind of like going like this. So it's more chill. You don't get as many cravings and stuff like that. So all food is not created equal, right? So look at what you're putting into your body and ask yourself that question. That's the first step. And then ask yourself the question, is this real food? Like, does this come from something that grew from the earth? Is it created with little to no ingredients? So like when you read the label, does it have 5 ingredients or less? Or does it have like 30 ingredients where like 20 of those ingredients you don't recognize what you're reading, right? So that's what you have to look at next. Is this real food? And I always try to tell people to focus on 5 ingredients or less and then look at those 5 ingredients and ask yourself where those come from and if those are okay for you to ingest. And a good example would be like, would I give this to a baby? Would I give this to a child? Right? Knowing what it is. So sometimes it takes a little bit of work to really do this, but it's worth the work, and I'll tell you why in a second. So you might look at an ingredient and not know what it is, and you might think it's automatically bad because it's something you can't pronounce, but it might be some kind of supplement, like a B12 supplement of some sort, of something kind of vitamin. It could be a preservative that is not very harmful, or it could be one that is very harmful, right? So take the time to look it up and learn what you're putting in your body. It's kind of like responsibility. You pay attention to the gas you put in the car. You pay attention to other things when you're taking care of other things. You should really look at how you take care of your business. Now, one of the things that happens with your body when you put real food into your body is your body knows what to do with it, like, because it's real food. And when you put something in your body that's a chemical, sometimes your body's like, what is this? And sometimes it gets kind of defensive, right? So it could cause inflammation because of that defensive. So if you're putting in multiple chemicals all day long and bad things for your body, or lots of sugar and lots of salt and lots of, lots of chemicals, then your body is kind of like fighting a battle instead of putting nutrition into your body. So that's what I'm talking about when I say use food to like support your body and heal your body, because when you're putting all these negative, unnatural, and possibly harmful things into your body has to do something about it. And eventually your body will get tired, and that's when it creates a state of dis-ease in your body, and eventually will turn into some serious diseases in your body. Okay? So that this is how to get started. So you're going to look at what you're eating and drinking and ask yourself if this is basically you're asking yourself, does this support my health or does it take away from my health? And then you're going to ask yourself, is this real food? And look at the ingredients, okay? And then you're going to ask yourself, well, what can I substitute the next time I want, a drink? What can I substitute instead of having too much sugar? Like instead of going Starbucks, can I make my coffee at home and just put, you know, something better in it than what I'm getting at Starbucks, which a lot of the ingredients, if you look at, they give you the ingredients if you look it up online, and a lot of these ingredients are just horrible, okay? And so just by putting real stuff into your body over and over, you'll slowly begin to heal. And it's a process because sometimes you feel worse before you feel better, especially if you have like a little bit of a sugar addiction or you're used to like strong flavors. So you're used to something tasting really sweet. What happens over time when you cut out sugar, added sugar, is that your taste buds adjust. Same thing with salt. Your taste buds adjust. So I recently cut salt out of my diet, not completely, but just watching my salt. And I like a week ago, I went food shopping and I bought myself. I love tortilla chips, and I stopped buying them for a couple of weeks because I was like, all right, I'm going to focus on less salt and really kind of. Even though these chips that I eat have good ingredients in it, they're still not good for me because they're fried and there is a lot of salt in them. And so I bought these chips, and can I just tell you that in the couple of weeks that I haven't been eating a lot of salt, my taste buds have adjusted, and just putting those chips into my mouth, they were so salty I couldn't even eat them. It was terrible. So those are the changes that you can expect over time. Your body will begin to crave real food. It's like peanut butter. Let's use peanut butter as an example too. So if you go to the store and you pick up like one of the popular brands of peanut butter and you read the ingredients, there's a lot more than nuts in there. Like the only ingredient that should be in peanut butter is nuts and salt, okay? But a lot of times you'll see palm oil and sugars and stuff like that. And palm oil is not good for you and sugars are not good for you, and they're not necessary. They're not necessary. Basically, they're putting, I'm not positive about this, but I think they put the palm oil in there so it doesn't separate, so you don't have to stir it. So you know how you have to stir the natural peanut butter? Well, after you get used to eating the natural peanut butter, it tastes so much better. And then if you taste like another brand, I'm not going to mention any specifics because most of those popular brands taste horrible to me. It tastes almost like oil or like fillers or waxy to me. That's what it tastes like. It doesn't taste like peanut butter. It tastes very very fake to me, and you start to notice how much real food tastes better. Another place where I notice a huge difference is like when I make my own salad dressing, which is really really easy to do. It's something so simple, and it tastes, when you make your own salad dressing, it tastes like 100 times better than anything you can buy in the store. I'm just not kidding you. I can't tell you. I think store-bought salad dressing is absolutely disgusting. And salad dressing is so easy to make. I'm just going to share this with you really quickly. You just have to have a fat, an acid, and then flavor, whatever your flavor wants to be. So fats can be like olive oil, avocado oil, and avocado. It could be yogurt. It could be tahini. You know what I mean? So like you have all those different fats that you can use. And then acids could be obviously vinegar, it could be lemon or lime juice. And then flavorings can be different things. Like sometimes I'll just do olive oil, lemon juice, and garlic, and that's it. A little bit of salt. That's it. Right? So a lot of times, like a balsamic, I'll use a balsamic vinegar, and olive oil, garlic, maybe some oregano, maybe some chives, whatever. And it's I'm not joking, 100 times better than anything you'll buy in the store. So you just have, and one of the measurements I would say is, 1 part vinegar, 2 parts oil. So you just put the double amount of the oil in the vinegar. Sometimes I do 1 to 1, and it can be a little like watery. It could be a little loose. But if you're using, say, like tahini or an actual avocado, then sometimes you can get away with this a little more, like 1 to 1. So you're just gonna have to experiment and see what you like. But like lemon tahini is delicious. I'll do lemon, I'll do tahini. I'll add a little olive oil because just lemon and tahini, it's tight, it's very thick, and it turns into a paste. And so like lemon, tahini, olive oil, a little tiny bit of salt, garlic, and that's a delicious dressing that you can throw on almost any salad. So there's different ways to substitute this. Now I'm starting to get into like a whole nother subject. So I'm just going to go back to the self-care challenge for this week, and that is to basically eat real food to support your body and your health, okay? And your energy levels, right? And so question number 1 is, does this serve or take away from my health? Every time you put something in your mouth, drink or food, does this serve or take away from my health? Then you're going to ask yourself, is this real food? You're going to look at the label and you're going to learn what you're putting into your body, and ask yourself, would you give this to your child or your grandchild? And if you would say no, then maybe you should think about putting it into your mouth. And then the last question is, what could I substitute that would be better? And just like work on that slowly. It's not something you can perfect in a week. It's something that happens slowly over time, and it has to be really, it has to be a very strong, important thing for you. If you want to improve your health, you want to feel better, you want to reduce inflammation in your body, you have to put good things into your body that support your health. So what I'm going to do for the month is I'm talking about nutrition and food for the entire month, okay? And each week I'll go over a different topic. I'll talk about, mindful eating. I eat a plant-based diet mostly, and so I'll talk about that a little bit. But each week I'll have a different self-care topic. So if you're interested in food and nutrition, it's the perfect time to really get into this because it's spring. Everybody's very empowered to take better care of themselves in the spring because they want to look good in the summer, right? So it is a really good time to get into it. So if you're interested in following me, I'm going to be doing this mostly on Instagram, not on Facebook. And so follow me on Instagram at Tina Stinson Coach. And the way I'm going to do this basically is I'm just going to pop on here live and share with you what I eat on a daily basis and what I put into my body. And some people might think that some of the things I do are a little maybe over the top, like I make my own plant-based milk. And most people would say, well, I don't have time for that. Well, I'll show you how I do that. And my answer to that is, if you feel like some of the things I do are over the top, it didn't happen overnight like that, so I did one little thing at a time, and then slowly I learned what I liked and what served my body, and I make those a part of my life as a non-negotiable, right? So it wasn't like one day I said, I'm going to eat all this real food and make everything from scratch. I did it slowly over time to make it more possible. So that is this week's self-care challenge. If you want to join me this month and learn more about putting the right food into your body to serve your health, to serve your energy, then follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be going live on and off throughout the month, and I'm probably just going to be popping on. So just check me out over there at Tina Stinson Coach. Okay, I'll see you guys. Bye.